Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 14th of June, 2020. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Sleepy time.
And Rob Kemp.
Yes!
Yes, it's sleepy time!
I've been so tired the last few days as well.
Yep.
I probably should have gone, yawn!
Yawn! Can't wait to leap into that bed and snooze away.
Except I've really got the sleepers for foos attitude at the moment as well.
Really?
Yeah. My brain doesn't want to sleep, but the rest of me does all the time.
Yep. I know that feeling.
So that's the sleepers for fools attitude.
Well, my head doesn't want to sleep. Actually, no, it's various bits of me don't want to sleep. At any given moment,
Yep.
most of me wants to sleep, but there's something that says no. And like Thursday night, it was my legs saying, "You haven't run for a few days because you've been ill with a stomach thing." No, I really want to run, and my legs sort of like spent the entire night just doing what dogs do when they sleep, sort of shuffly, shuffly, shuffly. That was that. And then the last couple of nights, it's been like, I want to stay up and play games, but the sensible person in me says sleep.
But you still want to sleep all the time, even though you want to be playing games.
Yeah. I'm tired.
It's the dilemma, the classic dilemma. But sleep is for foos, though, right?
Sleep is for food.
That's what you think at 1 a.m. when you're playing games, but then in the morning you're like, oh.
Absolutely. Yeah, 1 a.m. rocks around in Rocket League, and I'm on Friday night, and I'm just sort of sat there going, I'm still really quite wired. Well, I should probably go to bed.
Indeed.
Wired. So yeah, I've been mildly not well, but not with anything pandemic related. I'm beginning to wonder, right, and this is possibly the worst thing I could say given my normal eating habits. My current theory is that dairy is bad for me.
Well, that would be bad.
Oh, I mean, people have that, right, as a thing. Like, I know David can't eat, like, what's it called? Lactose intolerance thing, right?
Well, yeah, something like that. It's just that the last couple of times we've had quantities of pizza.
Oh, you can't be
pizza.
Yeah.
That things have gone quite south, and this week was particularly bad.
That doesn't seem like necessarily a dairy thing. There's a lot of ingredients on a pizza. True,
but sometimes I've been quite queasy on a run when I've had a coffee or a milk-based cereal in before the run, and some mornings not. I don't know.
Maybe you should try.
I'm having a hard time narrowing it down, so I'm trying. I might try a dairy-free week and then
switch to black coffee, see if it makes a difference.
I think large quantities of milk in general, and then followed by running, is probably not necessarily a good.
No, milk and running is really bad. Yeah, that much I now know. But then again, I've had decent runs when I've had a coffee right before.
That's not a large quantity of milk. That's a different.
It's a reasonable quantity of milk. I've had a latte.
Latte, then a run. Doesn't sound like a good idea. I don't know.
I've definitely done it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just experimenting. See if that calms everything down for a bit. There's just been too many Mondays of late where things have been bad. Not just because it's Monday.
But because
I'm Garfield, aren't I?
It got preceded by pizzas or milky coffees.
Well, the thing is there's normally so much pizza that we're eating it Monday as well.
That's the thing. Well, maybe it's like day-old pizza then.
Yeah, it could well be.
It might be worth avoiding.
Yeah. Maybe you can't trust the... hey, Domino's, we'll just reheat it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It should be a shame. Because I like second day Domino's almost as much as I like first day.
Yeah, it's almost nicer, isn't it, in some ways? Not nicer, but
it's definitely not as good.
It's a different thing. But, yeah. I haven't had Domino's for a very long time. It's all been Pizza Hut for a very for a while for me.
Well, there's a Domino's deal at the moment that isn't actually too bad for Gnome and I, in terms of quantity and stuff like that. So that's been working out all right at the moment. Nice as a change from the Hut onslaught. Also, Hut have been a little variable during this lockdown.
Right.
They've had a couple of really excellent weeks where their cheese game has been on point.
On point cheese game.
But we had one extra ropey week where basically it seemed like the base had bubbled to the point where it had pushed everything else out of the way in spots. So it was just exposed hollow base. It was weird.
That is weird. My Hut doesn't always pay full attention to the order. Because for some reason, for example, the garlic sprinkles come by default, which I don't really understand. So when I choose no garlic sprinkles, they still put it on there. It's like,
we have that practically every week.
Why?
That's what you do, order that base.
What? That's like the default base, though. You can't get like other ones in the medium size. Like,
no, you can't anymore. It's all just classic base.
But that's where the second day pizza comes in.
Yeah.
You have to commit.
Commit.
Fully commit, but then you have the second day pizza, and then you feel queasy when you go for a run.
Oh no! Of late, it's been queasy regardless of the running.
Full quease.
Pizza. Yeah.
I think it seems more likely it's Domino's fault than the pizza specifically.
Maybe this week. Yeah, there might be some truth to that, but it's just. Yeah, I'm gonna try it anyway. We've got some soy milk and some oat milk in, so I'll swap to that for a while and see what happens. Yeah, I'm not having pizza this week yet.
No, you can't do both though.
That's how
you can't test the theory.
But it's no dairy, cutting all dairy, no cheese.
Yeah, but you still have to have a pizza though. You have to have everything else that's on the pizza apart from you have to have the shitty.
I have to have a cheeseless pizza.
Yeah,
I really don't like those.
Oh no. I know someone who orders a cheeseless pizza and he's just a mistake. But...
A delicious cheeseless pizza just for me.
Yeah,
it's like the opposite.
Sorry, Cambridge, Darren, you're a lovely chap, but cheeseless pizza is a no. A hard no.
Indeed. What you been eating lately, Zeg? In lockdown cuisine.
Same things as usual, really.
Sausage stuff.
It's just I have my pizzas at home now. The crappy frozen pizzas.
Yeah, they haven't opened the Asda counter yet either.
I can imagine why.
But they're not even like making the like standalone fresh pizzas, under more healthy conditions than having customers leer over a counter,
Yeah, but the counter is still where they have to make them though, and it's still exposed to the store. Yeah, but do they have a place to make those pizzas that's not there at that counter in the back?
There must be somewhere.
I don't know. It seems like they probably just make them on that same counter maybe before the store opens.
Well, yeah, maybe do it on a Sunday night, but then that's better because then they can clean it up, do the pizzas, clean it down. Problem solved.
It's a lot of extra cleaning rather than just not making them.
I'm pretty sure that's the general rule of all shops at the moment. A lot of extra cleaning.
Or just not doing it. That's the other rule.
That's the problem. They've got to be doing something to make the extra bill. Got to make paper right now. They're struggling. I don't know if the supermarkets are struggling, but everyone else is struggling.
Supermarkets are doing fine, I think. Everyone else.
I think they might be up.
Yeah, they're up because everyone's has to buy their beer there rather than at the pub.
Get your beers here.
Oh, the pub. I miss the pub. Yeah. Oh, well. Sad times. I'm struggling with lunches because, that's probably one of the best things about working in central London is there's so many nice places to go for lunch and things that so much variety of stuff that you could get. And it's like, halfway through the day, time for the reward and something nice. But start working from home, feel like I barely even have time to make something because everyone kind of not everyone goes for lunch at the same time, obviously, or people aren't aware of when lunches are. And I'm trying to do a bit of go for a run or something, so then it's hard to
mess
fit.
the whole system up.
Messes up the whole system. So then I'm like just ham sandwiches all day, not all day, every day for weeks. How long? 12 weeks. That's no good. So I'm trying to think how to mix it up, but it's like you go to the supermarket to get something more interesting, and then you have to queue up for like 20 minutes just to get in the door. It's like, so I'm trying to think. So today I got some instant ramen. I'm going to try that.
We've got some of those. Are they the Nissin branded ramens?
I can't remember what the brand was. It was one that someone recommended, but I don't actually know much about that, so I'm going to have to try different ones out, because I ended up
look a bit like a pack of super noodles, but are actually ramen, like soup ramen.
Yeah,
or is it like a pot noodle?
Well, that was the thing. It's like the brand that I knew that I wanted to get. The only ones they had were like pots. Right. So I haven't tried them yet, but I shall see if it's like a. Because I have this thing that I've never had a pot noodle. As what is my like safe for work. Never have I ever. I have never
statement. Had a pot noodle.
But I think instant ramen's it's going to be okay. But it looks suspiciously like a pot noodle, so it's basically the same thing, maybe. But hopefully it's tastier, and it is a proper brand. So.
I like the as I say, they're dirt cheap. They're like 50p a pack or something.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, Nissan soup ramen noodles. It's
like
the filth, but like pretty nice actually.
Yeah. Laura suggested just chopping up some spring onion and sprinkling it over the top, which is a nice idea.
Yeah, that could work. That can help.
I'm going to give that a try this week. But generally, yeah, lunch. It's difficulty.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, Gnome's struggling with that a little more, I think, than I am, because I'm.
Oh, you used to it.
I'm kind of back on my old work from home ways now, and which sucks because I don't like it anymore.
No,
I'm sick of it already. But
I don't like it.
Like as I say, Gnome's struggling for lunch more because she normally gets lunch from work.
Right.
They just have lunch for her, and it's just like, so she's struggling quite a bit. So we have different lunch every day pretty much, but which is nice. But like it's like eggs on toast, or dippy eggs and soldiers, or various egg product here, please.
Plenty of protein, that's good.
Yeah, she likes her eggs at the moment. Ham sandwich day, always ham sandwich.
Yeah, always ham sandwich day for me.
Can I put cheese on that? Yes, you can.
I mean,
except now I'm going to be like, no, you can't. Don't tempt me.
You're going to be in Dairy-3 land.
Oh, it's going to be so hard. It's not going to be perfectly dairy-free. Like,
well, but best effort.
Yeah, a reduction.
Right. We should probably talk about computer games, seeing as there's quite a lot of news this week.
Yeah, the reduction in cheese is depressing me. Let's talk about that now.
What can we increase? Gaming?
We can increase our gaming, apparently. We can increase our gaming about 100-fold. There's been like 100 trailers. Right. Some stuff is happening. What would have been E3 is popping off. Sort of. Well, some of it is.
It's remotely popping.
It's popping. Right, so a couple of big events happened. Well, a few events have happened. Now I can't unfortunately claim to have seen them all, but to be honest, in anything other than Sony's event, there's a whole lot of that looks like a game, and didn't stir that much more emotion in me than that.
That's like all of the sub-events of E3 usually, though.
Usually,
the Devolver one, even the Square Enix one is usually like, yeah, there's a couple of big games, and there's just like all their other stuff is just stuff we don't care about.
To some extent, but yeah, sometimes the big events, at least, like, I don't know. I feel like they're more interesting generally, but I'm just getting a lot of my vibe so far has just been that's game, not really. Ooh, that's an interesting looking game, and it's like I think that's perhaps the fault of just having so many trailers. Like after a while, it's just like I'm having a hard time finding the standouts because there's so many.
Well, it's because those other all the non-traditional ones are like they are just a bunch of trailers and maybe a guy talking in between, but like not in the same way as the companies do it. They're not used to staging, I suppose, even in a non-stage context.
I don't know. I don't quite know. Well, because the Escapist show was literally just trailer. Very little else. As pretty much was the Sony one. As pretty much was, well, the PC gaming show tried a few more interviews, but yeah, still not all that interesting. And I haven't seen any of what happened at the Future Game show yet. So I'm a little behind. Apologies. The internet is. We'll get some hot takes on some hot issues. So I think what I'm going to do is for the Escapist one is I'm just going to hit on a few highlights that I spotted, and we'll do all of PS5 because PS5 is important.
Indeed.
So here we go, the Escapist Indie Showcase with a little bit of Yahtzee thrown in for good measure.
Because he's the one person that they have who's famous, I guess.
Yeah.
They've still got Movie Bob.
Still famous.
But yeah, they've still got Movie Bob, but I guess Yahtzee's bigger.
I feel like Yahtzee's dropped off a bit recently, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's weird. It's weirdly he's dropped off because they're trying to use him more.
Yeah.
They're like, please make other shows, not just that one thing that you do.
So they opened with possibly the most, one of the most interesting things actually in the whole thing was their opener, called Windbound, which I bring up because boy does it look a lot like Breath of the Wild and the Wind Waker had a baby. It's like they're going for the same art style, the same sort of combat pretty much. It looked like there was even like a Z targeting like bit of letterboxing going on.
Oh,
At
classic.
one point. But you're sort of traveling the sea as well on a raft that it seems like you can build up and customize to some extent. I'll be honest with you, it looked like a pretty good one of those. Like if that's what they're going for, that seems like they're doing that. But of course, the problem is with that is it seems hugely derivative. Like I couldn't really, not sure I gleaned anything particularly new, but hey, it seems like a damn fine attempt at making that style of Zelda game. So kudos, I suppose. I think we knew about this already, but I'm baffled as to why it exists. Like they're doing a remaster of SpongeBob's Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Because everyone's remastering everything at the moment. That's what people are doing.
But
And that game was quite popular, relatively speaking.
Why?
Because it was a good SpongeBob game, I guess. That's pretty
maybe.
much what you need.
I don't know. I mean, the remaster effort doesn't look like they're doing too much.
No, that's what I thought when I saw it. I was like, this doesn't look that remastered for all that big deal they're making.
I assume they've sharpened the UI and that's kind of it. Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's harder to remaster a game that was based on like a cartoon style. It's like you can't just like up the texture resolution, really.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that's why they chose to remaster it. It's like there's a lot of flat colors. We'll be fine. We don't have to give Patrick a texture. He's just pink. What else we got? Let's talk about Wave Break, which I've seen on Steam actually for a while. This wasn't a new announcement, but I just want to get your sort of take on it. It's like they're trying to do Tony Hawk's, old school Tony Hawk's, but instead of on a skateboard, you're on a jet ski, and you're still grinding and doing tricks off waves and things and manuals. That seems to be that same sort of flow. There's a tiny amount of shooting in there for some reason as well. And a synthwave soundtrack, and you're a bear.
And you're a bear. Of course.
I mean,
What's
it
the
looks
thing?
kind of
What's the
okay,
skating
actually.
game where you're a bird or something, isn't it?
That
Or
is literally called Skatebird.
skatebird. Yeah, I guess.
That's what everyone's trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, bring back Tony Hawk's, including Tony
Including
Hawk's, as it
Hawk's,
turns
yes.
out. That kind of looked all right, actually. I'm
Yeah, I
vaguely
mean,
optimistic.
it sounds like an interesting concept. It's got a bit of wave race in there, I suppose, but more on the Tony Hawk side.
I mean, it wasn't really racing; it was more on the Tony Hawk side.
Oh, okay.
It was more about.
But if you're
getting tricks together.
So you like grinding along the top of a wave that is moving?
Although that sounds like an interesting idea, no. They're like you're at like a resort. You're not like just in the middle of the sea. So there's like plenty of like rails around the edge of the coastline and things like that to get on. And
like metal rails. I can't really picture it.
It's the same as snowboarding, right? When they just have random rails on the side of the mountain.
Right. I mean, it's not as bizarre as it sounds. Like it looks.
Can you grind on a jet ski?
Look as abstract.
I don't know. I feel like that would damage it.
Yeah, maybe you have to have a slightly special jet ski, but probably not that bad.
Yeah, because I mean, the prop sticks out, doesn't it?
There is the prop. It's a jet ski.
Right, no, it's a jet.
Oh, it's a jet ski. Of course it is. Huge depth. This is a good way to start a podcast. Something that I thought may potentially catch Zach's eye, which was Stronghold Warlords, partially because I got a little bit of the whole Banished vibe about it.
That's not saying much. It's like
it's like Get Hyped for Town, you know.
Medieval city builder.
Yeah, kind of. But it very much sort of had that look to it. It looked a lot like Banished, except it's like feudal Japan, and with a bit of like, oh, okay, you can actually do combat-y stuff in it as well. Looked okay. Might be as echo. Then skipping forward a little bit, we got something called Ultra Kill, which I've only really bringing up not because I thought it looked good. I thought it looked kind of messy, but it's a PlayStation 1 graphics styled speedrun shooter. So this whole nostalgia phase that I think we talked about years ago. Right. Of it being like, oh hey, what about we've sort of skipped the whole PlayStation 1 style 3D and the nostalgia world.
It's because it looks so bad. Actually,
yeah, but it seems like there's a few people trying that now. Fair. And Ultra Kill is one of them. It looked like they were trying to do a Devil May Cry style system. So like it's about how you kill the things, and that racks up bonuses and points and things like that. Whilst it being a hyper fast Quake-ish thing,
right?
But it had some sort of janky looking effects that made the trailer very hard to follow, and my eyes kind of hurt a bit. Not just because of the PS1-ness stuff. It's just kind of difficult to see what's going on. Another potential Zaki thing, but maybe not, was Rift Breaker. Partially because, hey, it's got some base building, and it looked a little bit factory-like at times. So, but pretty loosely, I'll be honest, that's not the focus of this. It's more of a I'd call it a survival twin sticker, where you get dropped into a planet and you're supposed to roam around as a mech, and but there are occasionally huge waves of aliens and things like that. So you probably have to build up a base in order to be able to survive the huge waves. But there's a little bit of a larger focus on exploration than maybe some of these other games. And you can have multiple bases, and that's the Rift thing, because there are portals you can build around the place that lets you jump around the map. It looked all right, quite high, relatively high production values, it seems, for a top-down twin sticker. What else we got? That's what I've said before the podcast. There's a whole lot of stuff here, and it's like, unless it really stood out, I'm having a hard time kind of remembering what everything was. Our favourite Pratchett is writing a video game again.
Oh yeah.
So be careful. And it's specifically about writing, which is extra dangerous.
It's a meta writing game about bad writing.
Well, kind of. It's about a kid doing some writing, so maybe we're okay.
So maybe it's intentionally bad writing.
Yeah, I know. I know she's kind of like a renowned figure in the video game writing world, but I'm not a fan. So she's doing this thing called Lost Words Beyond the Page, which is a weird. I don't know. I'm not sure if the concept really sits well with me, and that it's a kid trying to write a story, and one half of the game is portrayed as the words in a journal, but you're platforming over those words,
Right.
And occasionally able to do stuff with the words in order to cause things to happen to the story. But then there's the other half of the game, which takes place in the fantasy world of the story, where you're still doing a platformer, but it's like presented not as on the book. You're presented as being in the world,
Right.
but you can still call upon some of the words of the storyline in order to make changes to the world around. So it's like, she couldn't break the wall. It's like you can take the word break and then put it on the wall, and the wall will break. Things like that. It's a
That's kind of cool.
It's an interesting concept, but I'm not sure. It's one of those games where I'm not sure it really actually work fully in practice. If you know what I mean? I think it'll be too simplistic for people like us, but might be cool for kids. What else we got? Shout outs to the Disco Elysium style of game, because Game Deck looks like it might be one of those. We're talking a cyberpunk detective thriller where there's basically there's a real world, which I think they called Realium.
Realium.
Yeah. Which is pretty stupid. But there's also this virtual game world in which it's a little bit Ready Player One-ish, which I actually watched again the other night as well, where everyone basically lives in these virtual games almost, and so all their problems from the real world are kind of worth dealing with in the virtual world as well.
I can't remember if you liked Ready Player One.
I think it's fun.
Cool.
I think it has problems as a film for sure.
Yeah.
Let's say it's dragged down somewhat by its portrayal of gamer love. Let's say
gamer love.
I don't know, not in a creepy way, but just kind of I know films have a limited amount of time, but there's a certain amount of oh god, you're a friggin' idiot kind of love story in there. That's just why? What are you doing? It's so cringe, but not in a good way. It's yeah. I didn't enjoy that.
Well, as in, gamer is socially awkward, can't negotiate a romance.
Yeah, it's like, oh, a girl likes me, I'm in love. Instantly.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
That
Fair
kind,
enough.
Which is kind of bad. And then obviously, it has that whole aspect of all the obvious, yes, you're in love with an avatar. A real person might not be that.
Mm.
Yeah, all that jazz, and it's just ugh. Bit heavy, bit bad. Not the best part of that film. The best part of that film is just reference watching almost. It's oh, there's a thing from that. Oh, there's a thing from that. The homage-o-meter.
Oh, yeah. That was from the Space DVD, wasn't it? The homage-o-meter.
Yeah. I think they did it. Did they do it for Shaun of the Dead DVD as well?
Probably,
we can turn on those subs. That was kind of cool. Anyway, Game Deck. Yeah, I think.
I just remembering a stupid joke from the Daily Show years ago, which was these gay people have this kind of radar for way of being able to detect other gay people. It's called a thermometer.
Not the gaydar.
Yeah, exactly. That was the joke.
The thermometer.
They even had the words gay and dar coming together in the middle of the screen visually, and then it just got replaced with thermometer. Anyway, sorry, you were saying?
No,
it's just a stupid joke.
That's pretty good. The fans of Disco Elysium, I think, are going to be interested in what Game Deck has to offer. They are claiming to have a full-on consequence system as well, similar to Disco Elysium, where it's just all of your pretty much any action you take with a NPC is going to have knock-on effects later on. That's what they're selling. Hot Shot Racing. Now, this caught my eye because I looked at this trailer and was like, that looks incredibly familiar. It's a racing game, but they're trying to ape the Virtua Racing sort of look. Early polygonal racing games, so no textures, all flat polygons.
Or Daytona.
I've seen this before. Well, not even Daytona. Daytona had textures. You have to think the one gen before Daytona.
Yeah, hang on. I'm sure there was a game like this recently, wasn't there?
I saw this at AGX a good few years ago, and it was under the name of Racing Apex.
Right. Yeah. Didn't that come out?
That game didn't come out.
Oh.
This is now that game.
Oh. Okay.
So Racing Apex has now become Hot Shot Racing, and yeah, it looks good. Like, it's clear that they've done a lot of work to it, even within the confines of its concept. It's
what did come out is Daytona, right? Remastered or whatever, port, right? I think that did come out. I think that might be where I'm getting confused. Something definitely came out along those lines.
Oh, maybe a different thing.
Anyway.
But yeah, I don't know. Definitely. I mean, Daytona's been ported to a few things, but the actual, the original Daytona USA was a textured game. This is an 8-bit virtual style.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and as I say, it looks like they've done some work to it. It's got cop chasers in it now for some reason.
Cool.
But it's like they're pushing the angle of like it's about the rivalry between the drivers and having your own garage and things like that. And it looks good. Like, I want to. My concerns at EGX were that some of the cars I didn't think handled very well, but some of them handled pretty nicely. And it's like, so I'd quite like to see what they've done to this. Like, I'm definitely interested. It looks really fast as well. Yeah, looks cool. Hot Shot Racing. What else we got? Shout out to Proto Corgi. Just because it's a shmup where you're a corgi. And it looked kind of cute and cool. Have you ever wondered how Kiwis would get on running a post office? I don't mean Kiwis as in New Zealand.
I was like, I don't know. I can ask my Kiwi friends. Until they have them.
Kiwis as in New Zealanders. I mean literal Kiwi birds.
Oh, literal Kiwis. Okay.
Well, we already know how a beetle would manage it.
Well, yeah, you'd play pinball.
Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, there's a game called Kiwi, spelled Keywe, where you play as Jeff and Deborah, Kiwi birds that manage a postal service. Because all the other birds in the postal service can fly, so they deliver the stuff. So you're given a desk job. And that's the entire premise for the game. It's like it's sort of like a co-op platformer, but you're trying to do a postal job with weird machinery. It might be good. It looks pretty cool. I just love the fact that the Kiwis are called Jeff and Deborah.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like Kiwi names.
All right, Jeff. Yeah, Deborah. That sounds more Australian.
That was Australian. Yeah. Deborah. That would be more.
Yeah, maybe a bit South African there. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It definitely,
Us and accents, right?
Yeah.
Can't
South African and yeah. I know more Kiwis than South African. The only South African I know is my hairdresser, I think.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I work with quite a few
I
Kiwis.
think the other way around. I think I've known more South Africans than I've known New Zealanders. I was taught maths by a New Zealander.
Oh.
He said protractor.
Of course he did. Right.
Loosen.
No, I don't feel like it.
Loosen up.
I'm going to stay uptight.
It's not that kind of loosen. It's got a C in it somehow. Lucen.
Ah, loosen.
Because it's I'm only bringing it up because it's yet another Breath of the Wild looking game, but it looked less good than Windbound did. But yeah, just weird to see two of them going for that same thing. What else we got? A Juggler's Tale. I'm not sure it showed particularly well here, but it's an interesting idea, and that they're sort of going for like an Unraveled style platformer. But the trick is that everything in the game's a puppet. So there's puppet strings hanging down from the top of the screen, and those strings can get in the way. So like you can snag on things in the scenery or pull things about because you're walking past and the strings will pull objects around with you. So the puzzles will be based on that. That's kind of interesting idea. What else we got? Okay, I'm going to mention this just because I have absolutely no idea what this really is. But there was this thing called Of Bird and Cage, which described itself as a symphonic metal album game or something of that ilk.
Right.
Where it's like it looks like you're effectively like playing the music video or something. They were trying to sell it as, imagine if the game was the entire game was synced to music, but it's a story driven thing or something. I really couldn't fathom exactly what this thing was from its trailer, but I don't know. The idea sounds interesting. Symphonic metal, a game revolving around everything being in sync with the music, could be interesting.
I mean, I've never played anything like that, so
yeah, I really know. I guess I just want to know rather than play.
Yeah,
almost. I just want to know what this is. It looked weird. Destroy All Humans is getting a remake. I don't know if we knew that already. Actually, I'm not even sure if it's a remake or a new game, but it was just called Destroy All Humans.
They already remade it.
Another remake.
Yeah.
The second remakening. What else we got? I'm just going down the list. Bartlow's Dread Machine seemed like an interesting idea until I saw it. Like, they were like, what if video games were made 100 years ago and were like mechanical coin-ops? So your characters are like vintage-looking things, but they have to move on tracks, like mechanical tracks in the floor, and everything has to move like in the physical space. They've got like guns and stuff. It was like it looked kind of cool, but I think the gameplay is probably a little too simplistic, like too much like a run and like a not quite as good as Contra style Contra. Yeah, it looked odd, but I mean, not looked odd. I mean, the gameplay didn't look like it was all there, but it's got a cool vibe to it.
You were vibing.
I was vibing with its vintagey style. I'm going to bring up the last spell, but unfortunately I can't actually remember what that game was. And my note, but I'm bringing it up because my note has, it's got music in it by The Algorithm, who's pretty cool. And I remember that music being pretty decent. I'm going to have to check out what that was again. That's annoying me.
So where have you heard that music before from that?
The Algorithm. Yeah, my brother recommended it to me a few years back. It's electronic, obviously, but it's not. It doesn't really fit into I find it hard to put him into a category because it's heavy beats, but they don't normally follow a normal time signature or something like that. Or when they do, the beats are kind of like unexpectedly timed, and it's a really interesting listen, even if it's not something you'll be jamming to all the time.
Okay, sounds like could be. And has he done game soundtracks?
I don't know that he has. No.
Oh, okay.
Put out stuff. Yeah, this was off Spotify.
Sweet. Okay. Well, that could be intriguing.
Shame I can't remember what the game's actually about because I was just too focused on I'm going to give the ropiest trailer so far award to We Are the Caretakers. Good God, this thing looks bad. Yeah, if you want to see a bad trailer, there you go. I'm not going to tell you anymore.
No, thank you.
There was, again, I wouldn't say it was presented particularly well, but the idea sounds kind of cool. In that it's like this thing called Gone Viral, which is pretty directly going after that Smash TV feel.
Right.
In that it's a viral video game show or like death show where you're a guy in a set of rooms trying to stay alive by shooting things, but it's got roguelike-y style stuff, so you'll be picking up random power-ups that do weird and wacky things to your character. Have some Binding of Isaac in your Smash TV, why not? But it's also one of those games that's got Twitch integration, so like the streamer's camera feed will be in the game instead of needing its own little window for them to overlay. There'll be like video monitors in the game world of the streamer, and it's got like audience interaction and things like that, so they can vote for what happens next. So yeah, as I say, I don't think that the demo was showing you a lot of its hand, but maybe that's the right way to approach a roguelike. I don't know. You want to see like one example of like here's the weirdest it can get, and I don't feel like I necessarily got that from what they showed.
You think there's weirder lurking in there?
Well, that's my concern.
Yeah,
and I don't know that there is. Maybe it's too safe. You want to see something really bonkers. Just one thing that's really bonkers to get you're like, oh, cool. But I'm not sure I got that.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about synth therapy just because the idea is kind of interesting. It's out in August 2020. There's a date on this one in my notes. Because you're a counselor that's counseling an AI that is supposed to give counseling. You are giving it a therapeutic AI therapy.
Oh, so you're counseling a robot counselor, but does that robot counselor counsel humans or other robots?
I think it cancelled humans, but it itself now requires counseling.
I see.
I don't know. It's like, as far as storytelling goes, that seems like a pretty cool idea.
As one of my favorite jokes in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is the lifts that are not only are the intelligent lifts, they also can see slightly into the future, so they can tell like what floor you want to go to before you even step into them. But they get like super paranoid, and they end up like getting depressed and hanging out in the basement all the time, and they have to employ all these psychologists to try and coax them out of the basement.
Why do they need to be paranoid? Because they can permanently see that everything's okay.
Well, they have they keep having existential crises because they can. I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe it's a dubious gift being slightly clairvoyant.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe if it's like all the time, maybe that's a little troubling. Because isn't it one of those things like where it's like if you can see a little bit far ahead the entire time, isn't it one of those things where it's just like, wow, I have no choice in this.
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, exactly. So the lifts are like, it's fully determined, and there's nothing I can do about the future. I have no power. I'm just going to hang out in the basement instead.
This is pretty much the plot line to Devs right here.
The same corporation has the product of the sunglasses, right? The peril sensitive sunglasses, where as soon as the sunglasses detect anything bad might happen, they immediately just go completely black. So you can never, you don't have to worry about seeing anything scary.
Even if it means you're deaf.
Yeah.
That's right. You're not going to be scared of what's about to hit you in the face.
No, you'll be blissfully unaware. Yeah, I haven't watched Dev, so but I've heard some good things.
There's some of that in there. Some of that idea. I don't know. As I say, I mentioned it, I think, on a podcast or two ago. It's like it's a mildly over-arty slightly challenging. Not good ideas. Not sure 100% executed.
Execution,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Chicken police. Chicken police. Chicken police. It's a noir detective story about when you're a chicken.
So do you police chickens? Or
No, you are the chicken.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, you're not policing. Yeah, you are chickens.
you are chicken police.
You are cops.
Okay.
And it's like it's a proper old school noir film, but everything's an animal, and you're chickens.
Right.
I kind of love it.
And the cops are chickens. But
yeah, I mean, you are.
Yeah,
You're the chicken police.
You are. Is everyone else human or?
No, they're like cats and.
All right, like BoJack, sort of.
Kinda like everything is other animals. It's like the world of animals, but they're in this.
Like BoJack, but without humans. Because in BoJack, there's just animals.
No humans. There's no humans.
Right.
Chicken police. What else we got?
Poulet policier.
Garden Story turned up again, which I think we saw in the Wholesome show. It seems like they're pushing that pretty hard. What else did we have? Disjunction, a more cyberpunk, a cyberpunk stealth RPG, where the stealth elements actually looked fairly decent. It's like top down, real time stealth, but it looked, you can see like vision cones and things like that, but it looked relatively well executed. It's one of those. I don't know if any of us really do we like this sort of 2D top-down stealthy things. Is that something we've really done? I don't know if any of us have ever played one of those since Mark of the Ninja, I guess, and that wasn't really top-down.
No, that was side on. I actually I don't know. I wished I'd liked Mark of the Ninja more, given that I like 3D stealth games generally. I don't know. I mean, theoretically, it was like pure stealth, right? Because it was 2D, but I actually found it quite weirdly frustrating. I don't know. I should probably give it another try, to be honest.
It's like I've never tried playing Monaco, which is like, stealth heist game with some multiplayer elements. And I'm trying to think. The Thomas was a lone guy made one. Made a sort of stealth game as well. That was kind of like in this vein. But yeah, I've never really tried one. I don't. And there was that game I remember years ago on the Giant Bombcast that a few of them were shepherding some sort of stealth game, like Stealth Inc. I think it might have been something like that. They were trying to champion as being, hey, this might be the game of the year.
Yeah.
The Way of Wrath or Wrath. Mentioning again because there's some slight Zach vibes in here, in that it's Vikings. It's a tactical survival game, so it's like you've got survival style stuff, but you've also then got tactics-esque fights mechanics and some base building as well for good measure. No reactions. Okay. Possible Zach vibes, but Zach is not vibing.
Zach is not vibing. Zach is clicking.
I'm not sure he's even doing that, probably. All right. And we also got a trailer for Art of Rally, which I think looks cool. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure this developer was do you remember that drifting game where it's all done in like white and red and it's top down, and it's I'm pretty sure it's the same developers as whatever that was called, but they're doing a top down rally game with simplistic looking graphics and
okay,
it looks pretty sweet. I have to say, I think it was at EGX a couple of years ago, might have even been last year. So I have seen it before. I didn't get a chance to play it then. But yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by this because it looks pretty sweet.
What's it called again?
Art of Rally.
Art of Rally. As in the art of rally driving, or as in
Yeah, I guess.
art based on rally driving?
What, this guy called Art?
yeah, Art of Rally.
My name is Art of Rally.
He gave up on the whole like singing with Paul Simon thing, and he took up rally driving.
And that was my picks from the.
What was the fake name in the first? I think it might have been the first episode of Seinfeld. George Costanza comes up with a fake name, and he's like, he has to come up with a fake name, but instead of coming up with John Smith or something, he's like, I'm going to be Art Van Delay. Art Van Delay. That's his fake name, Art Van Delay. And then for the rest of the whole show, whenever he's like Vandelay Industries.
I don't remember that.
Art Vandelay.
Art Vandelay. Got to make sure those delays affect their fans negatively.
Exactly.
All right, yeah, that was the Escapist Indie Showcase. Woo! There was some other things there, but some stuff we'd seen before. Stuff that wasn't all that interesting to me, anyway. But fill your boots. There's a lot there to get stuck into. Maybe you'll find something you like. Quantum League showed up, for instance. We've seen that before. Roki showed up again, looking pretty much the same as it did last time we saw it. And I've probably forgotten some other things, but those are the ones I remember as standing out.
Showcased.
So shall we get down to it?
Let's get down.
We Sony it up.
Sony Pookie.
I'm going to open this Dr. Pepper Zero in anticipation. Listen. Oh god, this is a bit.
That was not a good sound.
Oh god,
Traditional Rob opening beverage on podcast action there.
yeah,
It's going to go absolutely everywhere.
This is a little active. I'm dealing with it. Slow release action. Fine, it's fine. We survived. Whew, this has been in the fridge for like a good couple of months. It's gone past the date on it, and it's like.
So now's the time to drink it, apparently.
Absolutely, yeah. Test my stomach theory.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder what's funny about my stomach.
Drinking out of date Dr. Pepper. Tastes fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, the worst that could happen is that you introduce your PS5 show with a PS4 game.
Pretty much.
I'm just gonna say it right now. Using GTA 5 as the first thing you show at your PS5 launch thing, not a good look.
No, everyone knows that. Why did they do that?
Because Rockstar gave them buckets of money, probably.
Do you think? Yeah, well, yeah, I
They
guess.
must have done.
I guess. Yeah, that's not a good look, though, is it? I don't know. That seems weird.
I can see what Jim Ryan was trying to say. He tried to justify it after you saw this, right? So they show the GTA 5 thing, and you're like, "This is GTA 5."
So you think they bought the advertising slot effectively?
I reckon they did. Yeah.
They were like, "We've got the most money. We're going to buy the prime slot, which is the first slot for." That's really weird. I hadn't really thought of this showcase as like basically a string of adverts, but I guess that's what it is.
Like what does is I wouldn't say. Normally, I would expect Sony to be like happy to just show the things. Like they probably aren't paying anyone, and they're probably not getting paid because they want these things there. But it probably wasn't in their heads to be like, oh, we need to give GTA 5 a slot for some reason. I can't see Sony saying that's what we want to do.
I guess.
And they then had to try and explain it like immediately afterwards. Like so. Jim Ryan comes on and says it's like it's great to be celebrating the history of PlayStation with a game that's been on every PlayStation platform, Grand Theft Auto, and it's like, okay, fair enough. I'm having a hard time thinking of many games that have been on every single PlayStation platform.
Well,
Tekken, maybe.
fucking Gran Turismo and Metal Gear Solid. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you know, has there been a Metal Gear on every platform? Yeah, I suppose there has actually. Yeah, there were other choices, but I suppose none of them quite as prominent or as money making as GTA. But still weird. And it's like the trailer they showed. They said like in the trailer like, oh, it's expanded and enhanced, and it's like you couldn't see any enhancements in that trailer.
Oh no, it was literally PS4 footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even had PS4 logo in the corner of the screen.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was because they had to, but because otherwise people would be like, "Is this what PS5 produces?" Yeah.
But they're obviously not.
Game.
This is just obviously going to be a like. This is on PS5 because it's a supported PS4 game. They're not actually going to do it.
No, apparently they are. No, there is a thing. Like they're doing GTA Online for free on PS5 or something. So there is a thing.
If you have PS Plus, you can get access to GTA Online without having to own GTA 5.
Right.
But in the same breath, who doesn't own GTA 5 at this point?
Well, that's the thing.
So many ways to get it for free.
I mean, you might not own it on the PlayStation platform, I guess.
True.
Like I don't. I've got it on PC, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I've got it.
And I've got it. I guess I've got it on Xbox 360. Is that right?
I mean, well, yeah. I reckon I might have a copy of it on PlayStation just because. Like, I reckon I might have picked one up somewhere.
I've definitely bought it twice.
Yeah, because as I say, you went in early on the 360 and then played the superior PC version again.
Yeah,
but which was sensible. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird way to open a show. No, I'm not on board with it.
Bad start. Okay, get that out of the way.
But at least they then did say, like, with a big notice on screen, all footage from this point onwards is PS5 and running on real hardware or dev kits. They didn't explicitly say that, but there was a note under one of the titles later on that said this is running on a dev kit.
Cool.
Boom. PS5 game. Spider-Man. Because of course.
Well,
but not
is it,
Spider-Man.
of course?
Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Oh, did you detect that they were trying to like fold in a bit of the kind of Into the Spider-Verse kind of neon visuals into Miles Morales, which would make sense? Or do you think it was in...
I wouldn't say especially. They've not... I mean, they haven't hinted that the Spider-Verse is a thing at all in the video game series yet.
Well, I know. I just mean that...
And I think they would have been slightly more explicit about that. I know perhaps... I know what you mean.
I just mean the visual, the look. Yeah.
Used during that one bit of actual, what looked like gameplay footage, that tiny little snippet. Like, yeah, it's quite neon soaked, isn't it? It's like it's a radiant sunset.
Yeah, exactly. It looked a little bit outrunny, and I was like, maybe this is like because people nowadays, Miles Morales is probably most famous for that film because otherwise he's just in the comics, right?
Yeah, they haven't really explored him.
Oh, and of course he's in Spider-Man, but as setting him up, right?
Yeah.
The game, yeah. So it makes sense. So it's a standalone expansion, like not full-size game, but
it's not a full-on Spider-Man 2. It's a sort of smaller adventure, an enhancement to it's a sort of enhancement to Spider-Man 1 is the other sort of phrase that's been.
And does it come with Spider-Man 1 enhanced?
See, this I'm not sure. Like I read it, some of the language sounds like it is. Like it is all of Spider-Man 1, but enhanced a little bit. Maybe it's like 60 frames per second on, and
that'd be nice.
Which would be pretty cool. But hey, it was already running at near 4K and at 30 on the PS4 Pro. Yeah, it looks damn sweet before. And the little bit of footage they showed, so it didn't look like it was hugely better looking than the PS4 version. Not even the close-up of Miles' face. I was like sitting there going, "Oh wow, next gen."
Yeah.
I mean,
agreed.
It's cool that it exists, but I didn't get that next gen wow from it. probably again that's the sort of the problem. But the last Spider-Man game just looks so damn good.
Yeah, I think it seems like it would make sense if it's the same city and everything, and just maybe expanded a bit, but like a new adventure with a new look, maybe new hero, and maybe they'll take advantage, because a lot of the demos for the PS5 loading tech were like, look, we can make the Spider-Man swing super fast because we can load in the city so much quicker. So maybe they'll take advantage of that stuff rather than like upgrading the visuals all that much. Maybe they'll find a way for the Miles Morales game, like take advantage
the
of
specs. They might just be able to have more of the city loaded at all times.
Exactly.
And not even need that tech.
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that. I really like Spider-Man, and it's nice to have something quickly. And I think that's actually cool.
I think it's slightly better done than the
DLC.
Than the DLC stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be, right?
Because that was a little hit and miss.
Yeah.
Compared to the main Spider-Man game.
I'm sure this will be, conceived as like a full adventure type thing. Like,
sure.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
It is cool. Right. So before we get onto this next game, this is where things took an interesting turn, because I was watching it with Gnome, and we were sat here, and a guy from Polyphony Digital turns up on screen, and at this point, Gnome sort of looks at it and goes, "Is that guy? Are they animating?"
Yeah, I got that feeling too. From that guy in particular.
Yeah, and I was kind of amazed that Gnome picked up on it before I did, first of all, as a non-gamer.
Yeah.
As well, and just sort of looked at it and was just like, wait, hang on.
Is this person real?
Sat there going, wow, I can see exactly what you mean now that you mentioned it. And it's just like,
everyone seemed to think that. I saw tweets like from people saying these are all renders, aren't they? They're not real people. All waiting for the reveal.
I 100% still think that there's something going on here.
But like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, clearly at the end they're going to say all the you thought you were looking at real people, but it was all the PS5. But then they didn't. And I was like,
it didn't happen.
I was like, were they real? Those people?
See, I thought they were perhaps mixing and matching some of them. Like, there were some shots where things looked way better than other shots. Like, I thought this guy from Polyphony, he had that look of it being, I don't know, just too smooth, right? The motions weren't quite...
Something was off.
Yeah, like there's too much of a swing almost to everything.
But that would have been a crazy reveal if those had been real-time
cool.
PS5 rendered.
But maybe they're not. Maybe they got a digital house involved to actually do this stuff to make it nicer because they couldn't trust people's home cameras. I don't know.
I mean, it's insane. It must just be our eyes. I think we're all collectively mad. I think there
were certain elements of it where it's like certain hand actions and certain things where there was zero motion blur on the capture. Now that's only possible if your shutter speed on the camera is set to something ridiculously low, and you're well lit. Like it's the Top Gear look, right? So most of Top Gear is filmed with a low shutter speed, and motion blur is reduced quite a lot.
Yeah.
And there were certain hand actions for certain presenters where there was no motion blur, and I was thinking, okay, that could be a render, because that seems like something you might not do. is blur things. But then there were other presenters later on where their hand actions looked way smoother. And I'm sort of sitting there going, okay, I'm now quite confused, because surely it would be all the same tech if they were rendering this out.
Yeah.
Still weird, though. It looks weird regardless.
Something weird going on. I think also, like, it was not nice that, like, the live stream was, like, really low quality, lots of compression and low frame rate and everything. Like, it wasn't a good quality live stream, I don't think.
YouTube anyway. Live. I went back and watched the YouTube stream.
Oh, that's better. Yeah.
And yeah, it was the YouTube stream was absolutely fine.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it had the typical YouTube low end crunch problem where blacks were a bit badly handled, but that's a standard YouTube algorithm problem. Yeah. Then actually they showed a game. Gran Turismo 7. Like a full-on Gran Turismo this time. No GT Sport for you.
speaking of games that didn't really give you a next gen vibe, some of that
Yeah.
game looked kind of naff. It was like
Well,
these textures are quite weak and blown out and dull.
Well, yeah, the lighting was perhaps overdone, but maybe that's like because it might have been captured in HDR, and maybe the stream wasn't put out in HDR, something like that. I'm willing to say that lighting might have looked better on a real HDR screen. But the problem with like racing games and next gen is this last gen did a really decent job with racing games, right? When Forza 5 came out the blocks, I think, like on Xbone, that was a damn fine looking game. Those tires were so round.
The
and now
roundest.
And now it's like, what more can you really do? I mean, the internals of that car did look super detailed, but then they looked really detailed in this entire gen. It's hard to. I think it's hard to impress with a racing game now. Also, someone was I saw a few people on Twitter pointed out, it looks like they're still not doing car damage.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for any amount of things coming off those cars at any point.
But they don't do that for licensing reasons, right?
We've got them past that at this point, though. There's so many other games that have some kind of real cars in them that have damage.
Yeah, Forza. The cars in Forza can be damaged. Yeah. They can't be like totaled. Like you can't have bits fly off them and stuff like that. That's like, or too many bits fly off them. They've still got a licensing problem there because the manufacturers don't want to see don't want their cars portrayed as being mushable. But GT just have never done damage. They've never gone that way. I guess the big question is like, okay, how many cars are they doing, right? And are they going to do the weird?
I mean, the one thing that's exciting is
they did in like GT6 between premium cars and regular ass cars. Remember that? Where there was like cars that looked good and cars that looked awful.
They'll have to get rid of the awful ones because they'll just look insane now.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now when you flick through the cars whether the models will load instantly with PS5 technology. I mean, that's because a game changer.
that really would be, yeah. That would be nice. In fact, loading times in racing games in general, racing games actually seem to suffer from loading times.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
like generally, I think the Forza Horizon series got away with it a little bit because all it had to do was load the cars. Because it had the world you were racing in loaded in because you had to drive to the start point of the race.
Yeah.
So like the loading times weren't quite so bad in Horizon, but like I remember the loading times in Forza 5 being atrocious, like really long. So I wonder. Well, I mean, I should sincerely hope that the PS5's loading capacity is able to deal with that a lot better. Also, Gran Turismo menus and music.
Yes. I mean, that's
it's a Gran Turismo game.
It's all anyone wants from Gran Turismo, isn't it? Cheesy jazz music, weird, like, mouse pointer.
Yeah. As long as it's not as bad as the music, because I think, didn't we give GT5 maybe? I think some of its menu music might have been our worst music of the year.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
Because it was so bad.
I think I do it on purpose, though. It's part of the style now.
Yeah, I guess. Polyphony just like bad jazz. Not even good jazz. It's just bad jazz. Like terrible lounge jazz. I don't know.
Can you imagine if it was good jazz? That'd be so weird. If you went into Gran Turismo and it was like Miles Davis. That would be so stupid.
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Oh yeah, obviously that'd be awesome. Or like Dave Brubeck starts playing.
Yeah. I can get behind that. I mean, there's plenty of like decent Japanese jazz that's not like what I'd call full-on improv jazz, like more the sort of maybe on the side of big band, but not being a big band, if you know what I mean. Like planned jazz, is that a thing? Like
fully planned, no improv allowed.
I mean, I've got quite a lot of that comes up on my Spotify list quite fairly often, and so there's better types of what they're trying. There's better versions of what they're going for. Anyway, they're doing one of those in full this time because we didn't get one on PlayStation 4. Surprise! They're doing another Ratchet and Clank game. Extra surprise! It's also Insomniac, so they're doing that and Spider-Man right now.
They must be expanding.
Maybe, yeah.
I never played
what did you
Ratchet and
think of this
Clank.
demo?
I mean, it looks impressive.
Yeah, I've never played a Ratchet and Clank game myself. Gnome has played Age of Booty on the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
Because I thought that might be an introduction game, but it turned out to be way harder than I thought.
Oh, I see.
Because it was a shorter one. It wasn't a full-on Ratchet and Clank game. It was kind of a shorter. I think it was when they were toying with the idea of making Ratchet and Clank a little bit more episodic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've never played one myself, but it's always been the draw has always been the bonkers weapons, grinding rails, high production values, and it had all of that. I think this is probably one of the more believable demos in the whole show because it had problems, right? Like there were stutters and like loading pop in and things like that, and they were very clearly like said this is early footage. It's like this is we're nowhere near finishing this, but it still looked pretty good. Like that little courtyard firefight they showed towards the end of the demo, it looked nice. I'm not sure how I feel about that effect where he was latching onto the yellow rifts, and instead of being pulled to the rift and the world sort of came to him. I'm not quite sure how I felt about how that looked. It's kind of
yeah, I mean, what did you think of the rift? Kind of, is it? I didn't quite. Is it like BioShock Infinite or something, or like?
Well, kind of like the dimension. All they really implied was that the dimensionality of their world is breaking down.
Right.
And there are just portals opening up into different dimensions constantly. And I think in one of those dimensions, there's no Ratchet. There's a female Lombax.
Right. Yeah, that was the reveal.
And it's like, so I assume it will be a split storyline, one where you're following Clank and New Friend, and one when you're following Ratchet without Clank.
Is it? Clank says to this lady, Ratchet, and she's like, what did you call me?
Yeah, she just lands and says, who? Yeah, I don't know. Could be interesting. Project Athia, which is a Square Enix joint, with a little tag saying designed exclusively for PlayStation 5. Which I'm not really sure what that means as a statement. Like, designed exclusively for PlayStation 5. Okay, are you telling me that it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, or did you design the game going, yeah, we're thinking about you?
Or did they design it to use the controller in some weird way?
Or the hard disk. Like, is it specifically something they can only do right now on PlayStation 5? It really wasn't clear. But it's Luminous Studios, so it's their main team. Pretty much, it's their main. It's the Final Fantasy 15 team basically that are working on this. And the current theory is that this is. Do you remember? I think it was the PlayStation 4 tech demo they did, where they had like a witch and I don't know if you really remember. It was like a brown city, and they were like doing witchcraft in a room, and then she got found out, and there was a little chase sequence.
There's been so many of those.
Yeah, but it was like a Square tech demo. The current theory is that Athia is the realization of what that game was, or what that tech demo was. So, and it's called Project Athia, which means we're probably miles away from it being a thing.
Maybe, because it's not like they changed the name of Octopath at the
end. No, that's true. Yeah, Project Octopath Traveler became Octopath Traveler. So maybe it would just be Athia.
Yeah. Seems quite likely.
Coming up next, we got this thing that looks, well, basically it was a city where it looked like a rundown city where humans have gone, but now robots are living out human-style lives, and you're a cat.
And I thought we'd seen this before at some point, or at least a very similar like concept or game, like with robots in a like rundown as Tokyo style setting. I don't know if it was the same game or if it was just a very similar concept in a different game.
Well, you might be right on the concept, but the cat part, I don't really remember being anywhere before. Like you are a cat.
Well, I think from like this theoretical memory of a different game, it might not have ever actually showed enough of like a gameplay situation to know what you were controlling. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think this was my favorite trailer.
I mean, I'm immediately sold, right? Because A, because you're a cat, and B, because it's like the world seems so bizarre. Like in the what's going? Why are these robots down on their luck? Like the robots' design is kind of fun because
Yeah,
they're
it's
like
cool.
low tech faces
They're like
and sounds.
they're like Apple Macs or something. Like,
Yeah. Like what's going on here? And there's like plenty of graffiti around saying it's like R.I.P. humans and things like that.
Yeah, I was like,
as if it was like a mistake or something.
I was just thinking of the Flight of the Conchords. The humans are dead.
Good to know.
Do you not? What, you don't know that
No,
song?
no, I don't know that one.
What?
No,
That's like their main song. Oh,
I have
okay.
cursory knowledge of some of that stuff.
We use poisonous gases and we poison their asses. You need to watch like the Conchords if you haven't watched that. Oh my goodness.
I've got bits and bobs of it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I haven't done a full end 10.
Binary solo 000011111. Anyway, yeah.
Okay, I vaguely remember that for some reason.
The game looks cool. I mean, you can't really tell how it's going to work.
I don't know what
but
it is.
I really like the aesthetic, and it looks awesome. And as Ho said on Twitter, like I've been waiting for the Kitty in a City games.
See, now that's reminding me of when Flight of the Conchords were on The Simpsons.
Oh no!
The city's pretty gritty for a nitty bitty pretty girl.
Stray, then.
Stray, yes.
I don't see why. It
2021.
has to be a PS5 game, but I want to play that.
I don't know if it was explicitly described as being an exclusive. It's just on PS5. This is the thing I would like bear in mind with a lot of this. Some of the wording around here, like a lot of these didn't explicitly say they were exclusives. And a lot of them didn't give any kind of release date either. That's the other thing to bear in mind. Miles Morales, by the way, that is holiday this year. That's totally coming out. Probably a launch title, but they held back from saying what things were launch titles as well. They didn't explicitly say any of that, so we're going to have to imply based on holiday 2020. Oh, it's got to be a launch title, right?
Yeah,
or at least launch window. Then we've got Housemarque. Housemarque are making, they're normally famous for their little arcadey experiences, like Nex Machina, Super Stardust, and what was the one they had one at the PS4 launch as well. Lots of blocks everywhere. Things go boom. I did Alienation as well, and back in the day they did Outland, which I'm a big fan of. But this is, I think, their first game, I think, since they sort of announced it's like, well, we don't really want to do little arcadey things anymore. We want to do bigger projects. And so we've ended up with Returnal, which seems to be a live, die, repeat type deal, where, you're a space lady who seems to land somewhere due to an accident and then has to fight for her survival, but when she dies, she does it again. But things are different next time, so maybe we're looking like a bit of a roguelite. I probably would argue roguelite, or something of that ilk, maybe with some story elements. I don't know, look kind of cool.
Was that the one that looked a bit Dishonored-y? No.
Dishonored-y? No, I don't think so.
Not. Okay, never mind.
I didn't get that first person vibe from it. I thought it was more of a third person.
Ah, that must have been something else. Yeah.
Okay, Sumo Digital. I got a little bit excited for a second.
Yeah,
and then we get
me too.
And it was like, what is this? This is a giant weird tiger costume close up. What is this? Oh, it's Sackboy.
Oh, it's Sackboy.
And it's not even a Little Big Planet game. It's like
Except
a
maybe
spin-off.
it is, I guess.
It is, but it isn't. It's like Sackboy: A Big Adventure. It's like it doesn't look like it. It's not a Little Big Planet game in the sense where they've basically done away with the creation side of it, and it looks like they've just made a platform.
But you still collect the mysterious bubbles. It's like what's in those bubbles now? If not things
Nothing.
to
It's probably
use?
just the point system because there
Well,
were bubbles.
yeah, but there
in
was the
Little
big
Planet
ones
were
that
just
had
points.
things in them like they used to. Not just the little.
Well, maybe
point
there's
bubbles.
maybe there's like still a creation engine, but maybe it's like Mario Maker style. Like you make stuff within this platforming framework now, rather than the full-on Little Big Planet creator. Because it just didn't look like I got that vibe. There wasn't a huge amount of variation in what was going on. There was some 2D and there was some 3D, but it was all platforming. I actually got some like Mario Party vibes from like how the platforming looks.
Well, we just have to hope that they've come up with a better physics for their movement to make platforming and like jumping on enemies like Mario actually work.
Yeah, as long as that's always been Little Big Planet's issue, is its overly floaty control. Yeah, I don't think it's too much to be hype about there. That's one for the kids. Destruction All Stars. What was going on here?
Oh yeah, I was like, is this Destruction Derby? Is this Monday Night Combat? Is this
Destruction Derby
parkour?
crossed with Fortnite?
right? And
Look, I mean, kind of. That might be the most accurate description so far. But like, there's just like, why are you out of the car running around? Who would do that? Get in a car.
Well, that's like the Titanfall argument, though, isn't it? Why would you ever not be in the mech?
Yeah. I
don't know.
can't. I can't say it looked good.
But it's one of those things. That game is going to be all in the playing, right? It's like I'm intrigued as to just what the hell it is when you actually put your hands on it. It's like
It looked a bit overcomplicated. I guess we'll see.
maybe, yeah. It could be brilliant. I was thinking about Onrush again the other day. It's like, oh man, there aren't so many like experimental racing games anymore or things like that. It's like try things. I'm up for things that are different. This was also the point where I when that trailer came on, where I realised that pretty much everything that had come before it kind of all shared the same sort of. Right, let me try and put this in context actually before I say it. It's like, do you remember when they first sort of announced the PS4 and they were like showing off all these like, oh hey, look what we can do with faces now. Look how the new Uncharted we're working on looks. And there was kind of this clay almost texture to how materials looked now.
Right.
There's something about like when we moved to this gen, like how materials and stuff started to get rendered. And there was
material-based rendering was like a big
but there was a period where almost everything looked a bit mushy and a bit clay-like. Especially in like early trailers and stuff like that, where it's just like, okay, this seems to be the current look. There's like up until Destruction All Stars, I was kind of starting to get that vibe it's like, oh, everything kind of uses this new style of lighting where everything looks kind of the same. Like there's not enough style going on to like save how realistic rendering looks like the real world. Do you know kind of what I mean? Like, I was starting to get that vibe where it's like there's just a style to how things look now. It's a bit samey. And then Destruction All Stars comes along and it's just like, hey, stuff, explosions, bright colours. And I will put the next game, Kena, into that category as well. Whereas although I think this game did have a decent art style, again the lighting kind of looked that this whatever this next gen feel is, this also had it. This intangible thing. Kena looks good though. I'm going to say that. Like as a sort of another Zelda-y type thing, but maybe Zelda Pikmin. With its little black gremlin things.
Oh yeah, I thought that looked quite cool, especially
Yeah,
the way like the world was like changed around the spells and stuff.
Yeah, like there was when the bit towards the end where it's like you're in this sort of clearing, but when you win the fight, it becomes lush.
And like it looked like, I don't know, like that kind of CGI movie animation, like Pixar kind of almost, not
It's
necessarily
Pixar-esque,
Pixar,
yeah, for sure.
or Pixar-esque, or like whatever, How to Train Your Dragon or something,
maybe.
DreamWorksy, but real time, which was quite cool. Yeah,
I mean they're an animation studio primarily, weren't they? Ember Lab, so they're it's unsurprising that their animation chops are coming through here.
Yeah, I sort of intrigued by that one.
Yeah, Holiday 2020, so maybe a launch game.
Oh, sweet. Okay. What's it called? Kena, right?
Kena, yes, Kena. Kena, yeah, it could be Kena. And then we got a distinctly not rendered game. Goodbye, Volcano High. Would you like your emo scaly adventure?
This has got to be. Is this using the full power of the PS5?
I don't know. I was trying to work out, like, having like I've seen that trailer a couple of times, and I was just like looking at it again, sort of being like, oh, is everything actually rendered 3D, but doing that sort of like we're making it look like it's a cartoon thing, or is it just a cartoon? Is it just animated? I actually can't tell. I think it's probably the latter. Again, no real clue from the trailer what the actual gameplay is, but
well, judging by the way it was setting up the themes of that game, it could just be another,
Life is Strange type thing. Yeah, yeah, it could be.
Just with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Except not the cool kind of dinosaurs you actually want.
No, everyone has a pterodactyl face.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird wings going on in some of those dinosaurs.
Dactyls? How do you shorten pterodactyls? Are they dactyls or terrors?
Probably neither.
Pterodactyls.
Definitely not that.
Just get rid of the aisles. It's not a bad name for a game. Pterodactyls. Or maybe a 90s cartoon series.
Terrahawks.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. I remember the first Oddworld game being kind of a goofy affair.
Hmm.
Oddworld Soulstorm was quite a bit darker than I remember Oddworld being.
I don't think any of them were that goofy, really. They were only
Yeah.
goofy due to big old games. Like, they all were they were pretty much all about slavery from the start.
Well, yeah, but you could, like, belch and fart, and there were more jokes. And like, a lot of the other, like, Stranger's Wrath and stuff is basically just a goofy cartoon shooter, isn't it?
I don't know if you necessarily say goofy, really.
Yeah, it was just about revolution and a lot of odd world people. I forget what they're called. Anyway, the slaves being shot, and Abe maybe cutting his lip, holdy bits of string off.
Ugh.
Yeah, he's got like some sort of string, hasn't he? Cut, like, holding his lips together. Not that that's ever really stopped him from talking ever. But he's cutting nose in one scene. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it's kind of nice to have another Oddworld game, I guess, rather than a remake. Soulstorm? I don't know. I was tonally unsure. And then we got to see Ghostwire Tokyo, which I think we might have seen at a Ubisoft conference like a couple years ago.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it before.
Yeah.
But we actually got to see some It's the first time they showed some gameplay this time. It looks like a strange first-person de-ghosting thing. Like, is it a shooter or like? I had a hard time actually seeing what was going on, and like the motion seemed like, I don't know, the way things moved just seemed weird. Like not, I don't just mean like I expect ghosts to move weirdly, obviously, but the way you moved and stuff like that looked like it felt weird. I couldn't get a feel for it from that trailer. I kind of like its vibe though, like it's sort of weird digital ghosts almost. So I'm vibing, but I don't know how I'm playing.
On Ghostwire Tokyo.
Ghostwire Tokyo, yeah. Okay, not much to say there. Good. I guess we've got the Super Brothers are putting out another game. I don't know that they've done anything since Super Brothers EP. Like, have they been involved in anything since then? Like, and that was a long time ago now. Do you remember that? There was like an early iPad game.
No.
I think you can get that on Steam now as well. It's like a little adventure game. Anyway, they're doing what seems to be a space exploration-y thing of some kind called Jet the Far Shore. I've got some Interstellar vibes. Out this year. That's Jet with 2 T's. Not to be confused with Jet from Valorant, who also has 2 T's. Alright, nothing to say there. I'm going to give ropiest trailer of the PS5 event to Godfall, which was Gearbox's looter slasher game that was technically the first game announced for PS5 at the Game Awards last year. I don't think this looks very good. Like, not just visually, but like gameplay. It looks super generic and kind of dull.
Is this like, Gearbox published or Gearbox?
Oh, well, no, Gearbox published, actually. Like, yeah, I can't remember the developer's name. Begins with a C, I think. Something like Cloudburst or something like that. I'm not sure. Counterpoint? Might be Counterpoint. I don't know. The Gearbox cynic in me is all like, oh, it's a loot game. Of course it is. It's going to be lots of grinding and lots of gathering of stuff. But it's like we're going like mythical melee combat focused instead of Borderlands guns this time. Except I don't think the combat really had any finesse to it. It just looked like you were just mashing out moves. And maybe that's just because the trailer. You can't really see how that plays particularly, but I don't know. If I want to play like a character action style game, I've got to feel like I'm doing stuff like Devil May Cry, I guess, where I'm dodging and doing sick moves, and rather than just doing what seems to be an AOE style, I'm swinging my swords around me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I do not get a good feel for this.
Right. Let's. I mean,
for reference, it comes up later in the PC gaming show as well, and I don't think they do anything there to make it look any better. Even though that was a longer look.
Sad times.
Then we got Solar Ash, which is a 2021 game, but honestly, that one's escaped my memory completely. Couldn't tell you anything about that. It sounds like neither can you two.
Nope, absolutely not.
Nope. Do you want some more Hitman?
Yeah, go on.
Have some Hitman 3 then.
Cheers.
Now, January 2021, IO Interactive are doing another Hitman game. Because why not? The last two have been pretty successful. But they're claiming this is the end of their trilogy. Like this specific world of murder, I suppose, or whatever they call it. They give it a name. World of Assassination, maybe? The end of, something like that. It's the end of their World of Assassination trilogy. And it looked like from the story they're setting up, it's like, oh, the agency's coming for you. And it's like, well, of course this was always
Oh, of course they
go
are.
that way. 'Cause that's what happens to assassins. They get assassinated by the assassins.
It's like John Wick all over again.
Pretty much. Probably without a dog. And that's early next year, so you don't have long to wait. Then Astrobot's back, and I immediately thought, oh, is this where they're going to announce PlayStation VR 2? Or something like that? No, it's just an Astrobot, like, platformer. Called Astro's Playroom. Which is weird, because that's where Astrobot first was. Like, Astrobot came from the Playroom,
All right.
like, PlayStation Eye thing from PS4. And then they made the PSVR game out of Astrobot from it. And now he's going back to the Playroom, but not in a Playroom. Not in the Playroom. It's just called Astro's Playroom. It's weird. I sort of see what they did there, but I still think it's weird. But hey, and also they're calling it Astros, not Astrobot this time. No, they're changing their brand.
Key distinction.
Yeah. Now I like the look of this next one. Little Devil Inside was what it was called, and I got some Monster Hunter vibes, but also maybe again a little bit of the Zeldas about it. But it seemed like you were a sort of hunter trying to go after like monsters in the world, but you were kind of a bumbling idiot whilst doing it. And I quite liked it. It had a neat style. You get. I thought you were surfing on a walrus at one point, something like that.
I mean, what's the thing in Zelda? Sand seals, right? In Breath of the Wild. They're so weird.
You do get to shield surf. Yeah, I don't know. I think that this looked pretty cool. It had a comedic vibe that I think I can get behind.
Cool.
No idea on release date for that. We then got the next thing from the Octodad developers, called Bug Snacks. Now this.
Oh yeah.
I think I'm pretty hyped. I think.
It started off like looking like a Pikmin thing or something. And...
Well, I was my brain was going, oh my gosh, it's another Viva Pinata.
Right, yeah.
But then it sort of isn't. Like there were these weird. There were bugs that are made of food, but there's these other creatures that when they eat those bugs that look like food, their body parts become the food that the bugs look like.
Yeah. So the strawberry things
gave him strawberry hands for some reason. And then there was a character later on that had wiener hands, and therefore he couldn't carry anything because he had sausage fingers.
Naturally.
He didn't have fingers, he just had sausage arms. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm finding this kind of funny. Show me more. What is this game? And the music that was going on as well, where they're literally singing about bug snacks. Like it's weird. I love it.
Certainly, hopefully something original there.
Yeah, not exactly something I would say, power of PS5. But
yeah,
going,
that's okay.
No, I'm whatever this is, I'm in. Yeah, it got the Kips and Jam seal of approval as well. So it's high on the Kemp household hype list. What else we got? That less than secret Demon Souls remake got revealed. Not a sequel or anything like that. No, they're just totally remaking the first Demon Souls.
So who's remaking
it? Blue Point Games are remaking it, and they're pretty much a remake house. That's all they do.
Right.
They are responsible for the Shadow of the Colossus remake that came out.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Blue Point are a talented studio. They're good at what they do, and they are super specialized at remakes.
Right. Well, that's that's good news because most people play Dark Souls, right? I know not so many people play Demon Souls, I guess.
No.
I mean,
Demon Souls flew very much under the radar when it came out, and then sort of ended up with a bit of a cult following. It was only when Dark Souls came out that the whole Souls thing kind of exploded. The Souls-like was born.
So
it's not for me, but because it's probably going to be weirder and harder core than Dark Souls was, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's still one of those games. It's the first of those games, so it'll be even less polished than Dark Souls.
Yeah, it depends what they do on the remake side, really, and whether they tighten up some things or if it's just pretty faithful. But as I say, Blue Point's previous efforts have been pretty faithful.
Do you think they'll go on to, because the Stone Cold Classic is the original Dark Souls, right? So maybe they'll do that afterwards. Yeah,
maybe. I don't know if it's old enough. I mean, it's pretty old now, isn't it?
Yeah.
PS3 era, wasn't it?
That engine seems like it would be a pain in the ass to remake, but maybe if they've done Demon Souls, maybe that would give them an inroad to
maybe
Dark Souls.
Yeah. Well, it's probably maybe it has to be a full remake, right, in order for them to achieve that, rather than taking the old engine and remastering it. Because I'm pretty sure that's what they did with Shadow of the Colossus. It was pretty much a full remake.
Yeah,
it was a remade exact representation as opposed to a Final Fantasy VII remake, like a reimagining. The strict remake, I guess you call it. Yeah. So anyway,
Demon Souls.
Is this the thing you thought looked like Dishonored? Because it's made by Arcane.
Yeah.
And it's called Deathloop.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. It's quite a good name.
So I'm pretty interested in this. I've got to be honest. I'm not a Dishonored fan. I'm not an Arcane Studios fan in general. They also did Prey as well, didn't they? Arcane.
No.
So I'm not huge on what they do, but this looks really interesting because it's to me it looks like it's more just straight up action shooter focused. So yay that. I'm a bit more for that, but there's a good premise to its world, in that you're a guy whose only existence is there for the entertainment of others, and the game is for the others is to kill you. But because you're stuck in the loop, they can do this over and over again. It's not quite clear how the loop works. It's are you reborn into the same place, but time has passed, and it's the same people killing you again? It's that kind of stuff's unclear. But it seems like there's someone else, this female killer, who is aware of the loop and always wins.
Right, yeah.
They showed this before, I think it was at Ubisoft again, wasn't it?
I think it's
Square.
It might have been Bethesda.
Oh yeah, it could have been Bethesda. But they showed it at one of those other sub-conferences at one of the past E3s. And, I mean...
They didn't show a lot before. It was only like a...
Well, no, but
loose premise.
But they didn't really show much more now, I don't think. It's just maybe a bit more direct, in-world, in-game footage, maybe.
Yeah, we saw some game footage, yeah.
But it's still the same, they didn't really explain it anymore, which I guess is probably the point. They probably don't want to reveal what the actual reason for the whole these two people constantly fighting each other thing is. Because that's probably what the story is.
Yeah, they made it sound like her role was she was hired by the organization that runs this game of some description. That's what they made it sound like.
Because I think
she's there to kill you so you don't survive.
Because I think in the first time they showed it, they showed her losing, and then she was fighting back, and then you were winning. And it was just it didn't seem like it was one-sided. It seemed like it flipped back and forth.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Or maybe they're both in the loop, but she likes being in the loop. Yeah, I don't know. And I also got like an interesting, like the way the game looked during the actual gameplay stuff looked really interesting. Like not just because it was a fairly fast-paced shooter, but there was a certain, maybe this was just my eye, but there's a certain stop motionness to how some of the things looked like they moved, like the animations of the gun you're holding and the way the enemies got blown away. And like I'm really interested. I think it's cool. I like its vibe. I'm vibing again.
Vibing on it.
But I'm also not sure this was any kind of exclusive. It just happened to be in this presentation.
Well, presumably not if it was shown at one of these other conferences.
But out this year, so hype for that. I'm okay. Possibly second ropiest trailer award I'm going to give to this next entry, which is a bit of a weird one because it's a big one. It's Resident Evil 8 or Village.
Yeah, that was a good fake out.
I mean,
No,
I kind of knew it was Resident Evil. I mean, there was a giant umbrella logo on one of the tables.
They did the same thing as they did last time, where they're like, "Oh, the Roman numerals are part of the name of the game."
Well, what was it last time?
7, when it was.
Well, you could make 7 out of evil in Resident Evil.
7. Oh.
So, because the VIL on the end looked a bit like VII for 7, so they did that there.
I guess.
So they tried to do it again, but then used Vil in Village to do it.
It's a very limited number of words they're going to have to work with if that's something. Because I like that. Once you get to 9, you have an X in there, so now they can mix it up next time.
Yeah. In fairness, it works slightly better in Japanese because don't forget this would be called Biohazard Village.
Yeah, that's where I think that's why they tried to do this, and it's like they kind of limited themselves.
9.
It was something they were doing in a different language that worked better.
Yeah, 7 was called Biohazard Resident Evil, right? This was the first time the word the Resident Evil name was used in the Japanese version of the game.
Oh, okay.
So they could do the 7 thing. Anyway, I thought the trailer. I mean, it looked like the same sort of vibe they were going for with Resident Evil 7, that kind of like small town horror. But it's a pretty framey looking trailer. Throughout the whole thing, a bit unstable, a bit non-performant. So hopefully they will tidy that up. It was just, I don't know. I think it's for such a big title, it seems like a weird way to show it. Like you had the time to tidy that up. Come on. This next one. Again, got my intrigue up because I've got no idea what the bloody hell is going on in it. Pragmata. So this was a trailer with a spaceman. He's fully suited up, exploring what looks like a abandoned city. A bit I Am Legend going on here. Dispersing what looked like some kind of perhaps nanoparticle into the air to show up some girl in it, and then the girl turns up for realsies, and sort of then the sky explodes. It's just like a really fun to describe it. Something just comes through the sky, and then it makes the whole world look like this. Wherever you are isn't really a world. It's like a big hologram or a constructed dome of some kind, and then you're in space.
I mean, it's just like,
and the girl is like clearly a robot or something because not.
This just looked like it might as well have been a sequel to Death Stranding. It's pretty much the same style of weirdness and almost the same kind of graphical style and like technology style in some ways with his weird like backpack arm thing.
Technology style I'll give. I'm not sure there's much in the way of grappling in Death Stranding, but.
And you have to save the child, probably.
Save the child robot thing.
Because like after I saw that trailer, I was like, I had to go back and be like, did it actually say who made that? Was this actually a sequel to Death Stranding? But the only company name on it is Capcom, very briefly in tiny text at the bottom. So I don't know who's actually making that because Capcom also isn't internal.
Let's not forget, Capcom have a history of putting out launch trailers and then never finishing the game. Anyone remember Deep Down?
No.
I mean, that was a launch trailer that never saw the light of day.
Mm.
So then it's a long way away as well, apparently. We're talking 2022 for that one.
So at least it's not a launch title they can fail to bring out.
Well, yeah, that's true. It could be forgotten. No one will mind. And then the last game of the show is a big one, but it had to happen eventually, right? It's been a while. Horizon Forbidden West.
Here it is.
Not Zero Dawn 2. They actually are just called, the franchise isn't called Horizon Zero Dawn. They're calling the franchise Horizon.
Right. Okay.
So we know that now. But yeah, Forbidden West. And I don't know. It's hard to tell exactly what was going on from that trailer, honestly, because it just kind of looked like more Horizon to me.
I mean, it looked beautiful.
I mean, yeah. I still haven't got around to playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It's definitely
Doesn't
something
seem like
I want
you
to
can
play.
go west from wherever Zero Dawn took place and end up in where it looks like you are now. That more looks like southwest.
Maybe.
You have to get significantly more tropical.
Yeah, it was quite snowy, wasn't it, in places in the original game?
I mean, the snowy stuff wasn't that the expansion?
Well, yeah, I guess that was the more snowy expansion. It was quite like fir trees though and stuff, right? In the original,
I guess,
if not actual snow.
Hmm.
And did I see the Golden Gate Bridge fucked up in that trailer?
Yeah.
Classic. Got to get that meme in there.
Always classic. I mean, that's in everything, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
It was even in, where was it? Where I think it must have been Star Trek Picard, maybe, or where it just had a whole bunch of solar panels on it. They just left it there, but with solar panels, and then behind it was whatever Starfleet Academy or whatever's there, or Starfleet headquarters or whatever it is.
Well, yeah, I think at least in one of those movies, the bridge blows up.
Yeah. Anyway, got to get that landmark in there.
But that surely that would imply Southwest then. If you're in the middle of America, that's not really snowy enough. Unless you're in the mountains, I guess. If it wasn't that far, you could have been in the Rockies, I suppose.
Yeah, that's not that far away. I mean, it is, but it isn't.
Now, all this talk about the Golden Gate Bridge, I think it's just got me thinking about I think it's the opening to Vanquish.
Yep.
Where they boil the sea.
Oh, naturally.
And also the beginning of the core, where that same thing happens, but from a different angle,
right.
I guess.
Yeah. Man, Vanquish. I should play that again. That's cool.
The one with the space commies, Russians.
Pretty much, yeah. And you're
it.
The guy in the weird rocket suit,
yeah.
knee sliding everywhere.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
Badass.
There should be more games like that.
The platinum joint. And right, there is one thing left to cover.
One more
this
thing.
Is whether we count Zach as accurately predicting or not.
And it's not a V shape.
It's a V. It's not
It's a V.
It's sort of a V, but not
Okay.
quite in the way you described.
Right.
Go look at pictures of the PlayStation 5 because we now know what it looks like.
I'm sure people have, and I'm sure people have seen the memes.
I do not know how I feel about it, honestly, because my first impression was, sweet, weird consoles are back.
Yep.
But then the more I look at it, the more I'm just like, I don't know if that's weird good or just weird.
I sort of quite like it. It's huge though.
It's massive, yeah. When if you send the disk drive, using the disk drive as a form of reference,
I have, yeah.
it's really long.
I mean, the digital one looks better, obviously, because it's symmetrical. But on the other hand,
the CD drive looks like such a lump. Doesn't it?
It does look weird. But that sort of reminds me of the PS2. looking asymmetrical and weird. At least when it's upright.
PS2
And
wasn't. It was just a slab. It wasn't all that asymmetric.
no, I
It
just
had
mean
that like sub box on
yeah,
one
sub
side.
box thing, which maybe that was the power supply, but anyway, yeah,
I remember that.
yeah, the original PS2, like it reminded me of skyscrapers or like a skyline or something because it was like two buildings next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it sort of overhung, didn't it?
Yeah,
I remember now.
Yeah, so that reminds me of that. But then I'm like, oh, would I get the digital edition? But it's like, well, if it's got like a full-on 4K Blu-ray, you kind of want that to play movies on potentially. So probably is worth getting the disc.
Well, because I'm definitely interested in a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yeah,
because I haven't got any of the
exactly.
PS4 Pro for some reason they didn't put one in.
Yeah, it's a bit weird how like it needs a little weird disc on it in order to go sideways, right? Because it's too wavy to go sideways normally.
Yeah, there's no flat edge, so they needed to have a stand that gives it a flat edge and horizontal.
Quite strange, but the like standing upright. It almost reminds me of the 360 actually, with that sort of curve on it.
I thought that.
Which I liked.
The Inhale.
Yeah, I always liked the Inhale, and sad that they kind of abandoned that and went for full on box for the Xbox One. So I quite like curviness. So I don't know, I quite like it. I wonder what it look like in full black. There'll probably be a full black one.
that's what I was literally about to say. I think maybe the white was a mistake. And I've heard so many outlets. Like I went and watched quite a few like reaction vids, like the Giant Bomb one where they watched it, and the Easy Allies one where they went like at the moment it was revealed, and a couple others, and all of them said, "Oh, that looks like a router." Like
yeah. But the thing about
it really does. It really does.
I mean, the thing about that router comment is like a router is a small computer, right, that doesn't have like heavy like cooling requirements or anything, and it's basically a box. It's a box, but there's the opportunity with a router to give it stupid shape. So therefore, people have always given them stupid shapes, and so, you know what I mean? It's like an electronics box, but you can make it a stupid shape if you want. So routers, they have done that, and with consoles, they haven't always been able to do that because it's not practical. Yeah, well, not necessarily, because there must have been quite a lot of thought put into the cooling of this, especially after the PS4 was fucking loud as shit.
Well, sure, because the vents are at the front of the thing.
Yeah, well, looks like it's all round the damn thing, right?
All around it, yeah,
so,
kind of.
Which is,
that's what they meant.
awesome.
They made a big deal. That's how the first glimpse you see, isn't it? Is the blue light that goes around the vents, shining off the vent struts. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I just don't know how I feel about it. Also, the massiveness is a bit of a concern.
It is the fact that it's huge is a bit of a problem, but other than that, I'm pretty fine with it because I don't really actually care what the box looks like particularly. It's more the controller's more important to me, I think.
Sure.
And I quite like the design language. Like I like the kind of. I know they're going overboard with the white, but like in between the trailers, I liked the whole flat surface with the 3D PlayStation symbols, like folding out of it or like angling out of it, out of a flat surface. I thought that was kind of a cool look, all white, because everything's all black in PlayStation, in Xbox land, and has been since the beginning in many ways.
Since the bone, anyway. The 360 was white.
Yeah, 360 was white. Yeah, that's true. I think I'm thinking of the original Xbox brand was like black and green, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was black and green. It's evil, lad.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I quite like it. There'll have to be a slim one eventually. Years into the future.
They're going to have to cut that thing down in size at some point.
But yeah, I'm pretty fine with it. I think it looks more interesting than the Xbox One, even though the Xbox is a weird shape. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, the Xbox is just a slab.
Yeah, but it's
like it's a brick.
It's like a weird brick shape. Yeah, but it's like not your standard shape of brick.
It's a brick versus a Pagani Zonda. That's what's going on.
It's gone a bit Zondery. Fair enough. Anyway, yeah, fine. Yeah. It's a PlayStation.
Yeah, I don't know. The look is a bit strange. Though I'm just trying to think, like, it probably, like, given my setup right now, it's probably not any worse. Like, I would probably horizontally mount it rather than vertically. Even though it's clearly designed to sit vertically. But I'd probably have to do the same thing with the X-Ax. Like, it would have to sit horizontally as a lump somewhere in my arrangement. And then they were like, "Oh, hey, we've got all these other things. There's a special headset that's done in the same branding. There's a media remote that's in the same style. We've got a docking station for your controllers because we couldn't fit it in the V shape." And that was PlayStation.
Indeed.
So we got a tiny little glimpse. Sorry. Before I say that, like, there's no mention of pricing at all at this stage. They're still
$599.
I mean, here's the thing: that rumor has resurfaced with a vengeance.
I mean, they can't be that exact price because of the memes, but presumably,
it's like that has resurfaced as that's actually what this thing costs. For real though, and there's some thought that the all digital version is likely to be about $50 cheaper, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's probably worth $50 for a Blu-ray player if you need one, like a 4K one. That's the point, right? Yeah. I mean, so that's quite nice to have the option.
Yeah, I'd probably just get the one with a drive, just because there's, I've still got that. I still think there's a value to having physicality of games.
Yeah.
Like, even if all that means is like you're putting the disc in, installing off the disc, and maybe actually that we're getting to the point where the installation off disc is potentially slower than your download speeds in some places, and you're going to have to patch the game anyway once you've installed it. So whatever, there's a certain element to, hey, I can gift someone a physical copy. I can lend someone a physical copy. Digital is still a bit on that,
Yeah, but it's nice to see that it's going in the digital kind of direction.
Well, maybe it's not like Xbox haven't done it. Like they did. You can buy a Xbox S digital edition.
Yeah,
it just doesn't have the drive.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Although it's like an empty space. It's like they just took the drive out. They didn't actually do anything clever.
Right. I mean, the main thing is the games. Like, I mean, the thing that's happening right now is that all the awesome games are coming out this year for this generation, right? We're talking Last of Us, we're talking Cyberpunk, we're talking Ghost of Tsushima, right? There's nothing as good as that on the PS5 probably for a while, unless, right?
No,
I mean, almost certainly.
I don't think we've seen. I don't feel like we've seen the best that Sony has to offer. Yeah. The best that Sony can pull out of the bag. I don't think we're going to get that at launch, because what console does that at launch?
Exactly.
Super rare.
I mean, those days are over, right? Time was when Halo came out with the Xbox and etc.
And Super Mario 64. Those are like
exactly.
Right? Super Mario World, maybe. Well, hey, if we're playing this game, Nintendo in general, pretty good at launches.
Frickin' Breath of the Wild. Well, I mean, they kind of cheated by doing this, like,
the Mario and Zelda year.
Well, they cheated where they the game was meant to be for the previous console, and then they rapidly ported it, or not, or they rejiggered it, right? Because Breath of the Wild did come out on Wii U, and Twilight Princess came out on the GameCube. I had it. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of cheating, but still, that was. I mean, 1-2 punch of Mario and Zelda with the probably the best Zelda for years and years.
And a really fantastic Mario.
And a great Mario. Well, great. Yeah. I mean, some of the best games ever. Yeah. Good luck beating that.
Hard to top. What do we know Microsoft has at this point? Halo Infinite. That's it.
Halo Infinite.
Maybe Forza 9. Or 8, sorry. Have they made it? Did they do 8? No, 8. We're on 8. Yeah, Forza 8.
I mean, Imagine if Halo Infinite was really good. Just imagine. Anyway,
Can you imagine it? Can you?
I can sort of picture it, but I don't know. You'd have to get Bungie back. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, fold in all of the experience of Destiny back into Halo. I don't know.
I find myself in a difficult place in my thought process on these consoles right now, because it's just like, yeah, Sony are kind of top of their game at the moment, generally.
Yeah.
They're,
I didn't realize how much the PS4 had outsold the Xbox. Like, it completely outstripped it. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Sony are definitely top of their game at the moment. It's like not just in terms of like their sales, but their or swagger. It's like the games they are putting out. The first party stuff that Sony is putting out is generally pretty damn good. If maybe you could argue that Sony's first party lineup is somewhat samey across the board. If you think about Horizon and Spider-Man and God of War and stuff like that, you can sort of see a through line there. To some extent, it's like there's a style of mature game that they are kind of always doing.
Yeah.
There's not really much in the way of different tones from them. But then Microsoft haven't given any kind of confidence in their first party lineup for some time now.
For a long time, yeah.
I mean, Gears 5 was okay, was pretty good, but not the best Gears has been. Gears Tactics is okay, but hasn't grabbed me. Forza Horizon is still Forza, but hasn't been super different for a long time. And we haven't seen Halo for ages, and Crackdown 3 was poop. So it's just a super mixed bag, and it's hard to know exactly whether you can trust them a little bit on the first party side right now, even with all their investments into other studios. But and this is a huge but Game Pass. It's hard to I think it's hard to underestimate just how big a deal Game Pass is. I mean, there are so many things I played through that because it's a hell of a service.
I mean, Sony presumably.
Ori. Hang on, let's roll that back. Ori highlight. They've got one highlight.
I mean, is Sony going to compete with Game Pass? I guess they can't do the cross-platform thing.
I mean, they sort of already are, but it's not as strong. They've got PlayStation Now, which is effectively their competing product, but the stuff that turns up on PlayStation Now isn't. There's not so many big hitters there. I mean, I think you can get like Uncharted 4 and things like through that if you didn't get it on PS Plus, and some of the older titles are there. But it's not like Sony have got this policy of like all first-party titles are going to be on PlayStation Now day one, which Microsoft does.
Yeah.
So it's Game Pass is still super compelling. And personally, my Xbone is my oldest console under the TV right now, and that thing is aging. So it's like if I want to stay in the Microsoft ecosystem, maybe I leapfrog that side and come into PlayStation later, like I did with PS4. Like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time.
I mean,
I'm having a hard time reconciling this right now.
I think it probably will depend on Halo Infinite, and I mean, like I say, I think I'm definitely stronger towards PS5 myself, but it's going to be a while before I get one because there's so many games to play on PS4. That are probably superior for a while. Not superior, but you know what I mean. I'm sure these games will run on a PS5 and might be a bit nicer, but with a Pro, like, I'm fine for now.
The Pro is still a juicy ass console.
Yeah,
it's no Xbox X, but it's still
It's pretty
juicy.
pretty beefy. And like, how are you going to compete? Like I say, with The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and Cyberpunk, right? For a while, they're the big games.
Oh, but that Cyberpunk on XX.
Oh, that's true.
That'll be sweet.
That is true. That's a good point. Yeah, but you'd probably play on PC, right?
I mean, I'd be tempted.
Yeah.
But it's like my PC's not got, I'm rocking a 1080 on my PC, and that's nowhere near as powerful as these new consoles will be.
New consoles, yeah.
Probably not even as powerful subtly than an Xbox One X, right? I doubt I could run Red Dead in 4K.
Well, yeah. Bloody hell, 4K. Well, you don't have a 4K. Well, you do 4K TV.
I have a 1440p monitor on my PC, but yeah, my TV's 4K.
Yeah.
But I can't stream from my PC to my TV, right?
No. Right. That's the PlayStation 5 show.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to go into
No, I think
PC gaming show. I think I'll finish that off and we'll come back to that next time.
Cool. I think we're coming up on a podcast here.
Jesus, have we been going that long?
Yeah, it's 2 hours 10, something like that. Yeah, I think that's our usual time. So we'll have to use this as an E3 special. Come back to our regular scheduling another time.
Bloody hell. Just getting warmed up.
Indeed. Well, maybe we'll have enough to do a news section and what you've been playing for the next one.
I finished Yakuza. How about that?
Done.
It's a hell of a game.
There better be some kick-ass Yakuza on the PS5.
Well, yeah, we'll get Yakuza 7. But
Yeah.
At least Microsoft have already shown that, though, so I don't know if Sony will be able to show that.
Well, we shall see. Cool. Well, thank you for joining
the game
us.
has like 5 different twists in the one end sequence. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think we deserve talking about then.
Bonkers.
Let's talk about that next time. So
I won't be long on it, but yeah, if you want to talk, did you mean now or later?
No, we could. I was just thinking we could do more videos next week, or we could do it, bring forward the next podcast. Yeah. So listen out for another podcast, or check out our YouTube channel if instead we do videos.
It can wait. Zach's, I'm sure, he's been quiet this entire time. I'm sure he's got a lot of satisfactory built up in him.
Yeah, you have to save it. Cool, and we'll do the PC gaming show as well.
Yeah, so, and I think there might be some other events happening between now and next cast as well.
We will have news. So yes, thanks for joining us, listeners. Catch you for the next one. Bye.